Hello everyone. Welcome to our free webinar. I'm Wing from CRRS Food Regulatory Department. Today, my topic is about the regulatory compliance and case analysis on imported prepackaged food in China. There will be five main topics today. They are the food clarifications in China, the overview of the imported food regulations and administrative bodies in China, the regulatory compliance procedures for the imported foods in China, and I will introduce the imported foods quality and safety in China in recent years. And finally, I will share a case analysis on one popular food category. Okay, firstly, let's have an overview on the food classification in China. There are a lot of food categories in China, and actually, the classification system is not unique. In the different regulations, there will be different food classifications. And here we listed the food classification systems in GB 2760 in 2014 for your reference. Because this system is much more recognized by the public. We can see that there are 16 categories in total, including the dairy and the dairy products, the fat, oil and fat emulsion products, the frozen drinks, the cocoa products, chocolate and chocolate products and candies, and other products such as eggs and egg products, the beverages and the other products. For each category, there are more specific subdivisions as well, and the definition, the relevant GB standard, and the product requirements for each category are all different. Then I'd like to introduce the basic regulations for imported foods in China. Of course, the most important law is the Food Safety Law of China. And can everyone hear my voice? Okay, I will continue the webinar. The next regulation is the export and import animal and plant quarantine law of China. This law regulates the matters concerning the products need quarantine. And this administrative measure on the imported and exported food safety. It is also imported regulations for the imported products specifies the basic important inspections rules and the management rules on the imported foods. And for the administrative measures for overseas manufacturer registration of imported foods, it specifies that for some certain foods, the overseas manufacturer shall be registered under CNCA before importing. And I will introduce this matters more details later on. And this measure is about the record of importer and exporter, and this is the labeling regulation. Except the laws and regulations, there are also various national food safety standards in China. We call them GB standard. Here I listed the most important and basic GB standard for your reference. For example, the GB 2760 in 2014 It is the standard about the usage of food additives. Only the listed food additives in this standard can be used in China, and the application fields, the allowed dosage of each food additive shall meet the requirements in it. And for the GB 14880 in 2012, it is a standard about the usage of nutrition enhancers. If you want to enhance some vitamins or minerals or some other nutrients in your product, their usage shall meet the requirement of this standard. And these four GB are about the basic hygienic requirements of the food in China. And we can see that in the near future, some of them will be replaced by the new regulations. So the companies shall pay some attention to the implemented dates of his standard and the new changes in the new standards. And these 4 GB are all about the labeling requirements in China. Maybe for the general food, the GB 7718 in 2011 and the GB 28050 are much more important because they are the general rules for the labeling of the prepackaged food and the nutrition information of the Chinese label. Each year, there are a lot of imported products be refused just because of the incompliant Chinese label. So we suggest you to study further on these GB standards. Okay, concerning the administrative bodies of the imported food in China, there are mainly 4 departments. The NHFPC, National Health and Family Plan Commissions of China. This department is responsible for the formulation of GB standard in China, and it is also in charge of the review of new food raw materials. And the AQSIQ, the General Administration of Quality, Supervision, Inspection, and Quarantine of China. And for the imported companies, you may be much more familiar with the local CIQ under AQSIQ, such as the Shanghai CIQ, Guangzhou CIQ. The local CIQ, they are responsible for the detailed work about the inspection and the quality work for the imported foods. And the GACC, the General Administration of Customs of China, they are responsible for the customs work. And the CFDA, China Food and Drug Administration, this department is in charge of the supervision of imported foods when they have been sold or distributed in China market. And in each year, the CFDA will carry out the casual inspection on all foods categories in China market. So after a brief understanding of the China regulations and the administrative bodies, here we come to the most important question: how to import prepackaged food into China market successfully. There are 6 basic procedures: the qualification preparation, GB evaluation, product formula review, Chinese label design, testing, and Chinese label generation. Okay, let's see some details. Firstly, qualification preparation before importation. The export of your product shall be recorded on the AQSIQ and the importer in China shall be recorded on the local CIQ. And for the dairy products, aquatic products, meat products, and bird nest products, the overseas manufacturers of them shall be registered under CNCA in China before importing. And for some certain imported animal and plant-derived products, the quarantine permit certificate will be required. This is the exporter and importer record system, and here is the official link. The record in the system is very easy to conduct actually, and the record list of the exporter and the importer can both be found in this website as well. And for the overseas manufacturer registration, the results can be found on the website of the CNCA, and here is the official link. The second step is the GB evaluation. The purpose of the GB evaluation is based on the product formula, production processing, and others to evaluate which GB the product shall be compliant with in China. Here are some samples, such as for the chocolate, the GB it shall be compliant is GB 9678.2 in 2014. The chocolate with coconut butter alternatives and their products. And for the solid beverage, the GB shall be the GB 7101 in 2015 beverage. After we find the suitable GB standard, the next step is the product formula review. And the purpose of this step is to ensure that each ingredient of your product is allowed to be used, and the dosage is compliant according to the Chinese GB. So what is formula review? There are 3 steps. First one, we will divide all ingredients into 2 parts, the food raw material part and the food additive part. Then we will check if all the food raw materials are allowed to be used in China. And then we will check if all the food additives are allowed to be used in China, and also check if their dosages are acceptable for them. After we check the product formula, it is compliant in China. The next step shall be the Chinese label designation. The label designation includes we should translate each ingredient into the formal Chinese, and we will design all the mandatory contents for the Chinese label. And except the Chinese label, we'll check the icon and the wording on the original food packages. Then we will finally generate a complete food label. For the Chinese label of the imported food, the mandatory contents are that you have to indicate on the label includes the following ones. They are the food names, the ingredient list, the net weight, the country of origin, and the information of the importer or the distributor or the Chinese agent, and the production date and the expiry date of the product, and the storage condition, the nutrition information, and the other specific information for some certain foods. None of them can be missed for the Chinese label. We know that design and generate a compliant Chinese label is not so easy, and you shall be very careful. Once you are careless, there may be mistakes on the label. Here we list some common mistakes for the Chinese label of imported foods, such as claim some health function on the label for the general food, or the size of the foreign words are bigger than the Chinese words, or the height of the Chinese word size is less than 1.8 millimeters, and so on. There are a lot of mistakes, so please pay more attention to the Chinese label requirements. The testing before importation. There are two different tests, the nutritional test and the GBE test. The nutritional test includes the test of energy, protein, fat, carbohydrates, sodium, and other nutrients if needed. This report is mandatory to provide to the local CIQ when you import your product. And this report can also be used to design the Chinese nutrition information on the label. And for the GB test, it includes the index of the such as the sensory, physical, and chemical index, the contaminant index, the microorganism index, and so on. For most food categories, this GB test report is not mandatory to provide to the CIQ when you import your product. But we still suggest you to conduct the GB test before importing, so that you can make sure that your product quality can meet the GB requirement in China. But for some special food categories, such as the dairy products or the vegetable oil, the GB test report will be mandatory to provide to the CIQ. The Chinese label shall be fired on the local CIQ when importing. And there are the required materials. Just remember to prepare all these materials before submit your application to the CIQ. Okay, after the introduction of the regulatory compliance procedures in China, now I'd like to introduce and help you have a quick look at the quality and the safety of the imported products in China in the recent years. And please note that all the data I will share today are from the white paper released by the AQSIQ and about the report of the imported food quality and safety from 2011 to 2015. The feature one is about the trade value of the imported food in China. We can find that the trade value is increasing almost year by year. And the source of the imported food in China, we can find that the top three sources are from the ASEAN, the EU, and America. For the imported food categories in China, the categories almost covers all kinds of the global excellent food. And we can find that the top three food categories are the grease and oil, the aquatic products, and the dairy products. For the unqualified imported products in these years, over these years, actually the overall situation of the quality and the safety of the imported products in China is remained stable. There's no serious problems occurred. Among the qualified products, the main unqualified food categories are about the cake and biscuits, beverage, the grains and their products, and the dairy products, wines and sugars. And for the source of the unqualified imported food, they are mainly come from the EU, China, Taiwan, ASEAN. And for the incompliant reasons, most of them are because of the unqualified microorganism, the unqualified character, the incompliant food additives, and the incompliant Chinese labels. So we can see that the most important uncompliant reasons are about the product quality and the label. So ensure your product quality and prepare a compliant Chinese label is very important for the imported products. In recent years, the China government pays close attention to the food safety, and the AQSIQ has also established the supervision system cover the all links of before import, during import, and after import. So for the imported companies, you shall pay more attention to the Chinese laws and regulations to make sure that your products are in compliance with the Chinese regulations. So finally, I'd like to introduce a case analysis on the formulated milk powder to help you better understand the import procedures. We assume that the product formula of this powder is as follows. The 90% of the whole milk powder, 7.9% of sugar, and 2% of soy lecithin, and 0.1% of vitamin C. And the usage of vitamin C is just used to supply vitamin C. The first step, qualification preparation. As we mentioned before, the overseas manufacturers of the dairy product are required to register on the CNCA, so you shall do the registration before importation. And then the exporter and importer shall be recorded on the relevant departments. And the step 2, GB evaluation. According to the definition in GB 19644 in 2010, this is the formulation. The formulated milk powder means the powder product that is produced from the raw milk and its processed product as a major ingredients, and with addition or other ingredients, with or without addition of food additives and nutrition enhancers. And the content of the milk solids is not less than 17% in the final product. Then compared with our product formula, we can see that our product can meet the definition. So the suitable GB standard is GB 19644 in 2010 milk powder. The step 3 is product formula analysis. Based on the regulation reference, all food, we can see that all food raw materials and the food additives are all allowed to use. And for the soy-lectin and the vitamins, there are dosage requirements in their GBs. And according to the listed requirements, we can find that their dosages are also compliant. Then we can confirm that the total formula, the product formula is compliant in China. So after we confirm the product formula is compliant, we come to the Chinese label designation. Here is a Chinese label template. All mandatory contents such as the product name, 调制乳粉, the ingredients list, the country of origin, and the nutrition information table are all listed in the Chinese label templates. And here I highlight this item, the registration number of the overseas manufacturer. Please remember that it is also required to indicate for the product that that need to be registered. And this is only the contents shall be included in the Chinese label. When you generate the complete Chinese label artwork, the word size shall also be realized, such as the mini heights of the Chinese words shall be not less than 1.8 millimeters, and the net weight height shall be not less than, here the net weight is 1 kilograms, so the mini height shall be not less than 6 millimeters. All this you shall be pay attention to. And for the Chinese label, I have one simple suggestion, and that is make your Chinese label clear and simple. As more claims you want to add on the Chinese label, there may be more risks when importing. The step 5 is about the testing. For the GB test, as we mentioned before, the GB test report of dairy production shall be provided. And for the first import of the formulated milk powder, all items listed in its GB shall be tested just for the imported batch, and the report shall be submitted to the CIQ. And for the re-imports, there are also some required items that are stipulated by the AQSIQ. You shall test these items for the batch that you imported, and this report shall be submitted to the CIQ as well. And for the nutritional test, the test items also includes the energy, protein, fat, carbohydrate, and sodium. Except these 5 mandatory items, the vitamin C also shall be tested, because in this product formula, we add vitamin C to supply as a nutritional enhancer, so the vitamin C shall be tested as well. And if you want to save some time, the GB test and the nutritional test can be carried out together when you design your Chinese label. And after all these steps, you can start to import your product. And just please remember to get these certificates before coming to the local CIQ. Such as the certificate of origin, the certificate of hygiene for the dairy product, and the business license, and so on. Then with all these preparations, I think the importation of your product will be much more successful. Okay, and this is all contents of our webinar today. The Chinese regulations are very complex, so we suggest you to pay attention to them and prepare well before importing to China to avoid any unnecessary losses. Finally, thank you for your listening. If you have any questions, you can send me an email and I will come back to you as soon as possible. Thank you, all of you. Bye. Bye.